All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our NBA video here today for Friday, March 19th. And if you're new here, I just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my channel. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to find out how many of these picks are being featured on my premium content as well, you may want to think about checking me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But guys, we got ourselves a pretty good slate of NBA action. A lot of games here. I know a lot of folks are focused on March Madness, but there's a couple angles here, a couple good games I think we can make some money on. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to take a look at the Spurs taking on the Cavaliers, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time in Cleveland. The San Antonio Spurs are -4.5 with the total at 211 flat. And if you like the Cavs in an upset win on their home court, they're plus $1.60 on the money line. And following a 4-2 day yesterday on my Patreon website, we also improved to 10-2 in our last dozen extra daily picks on that Patreon page. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We're also hitting at 88% our last 24 extra daily picks in that very same category. And if you want to join the 1,350 members who are currently signed up and active on that Patreon page, link for that site is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, the Cavaliers lost 4 out of their last 5 ball games, 10 games below 500 overall for the season. Cleveland's last in scoring on average per contest, last in free throw shooting. Dellavedova's still out. Love and Prince won't play either. They're taking on a San Antonio team who, despite missing their leading scorer, DeMar DeRozan, they still find themselves winners of 3 out of their last 4. Now, the Spurs are 11-6 against the spread away from home, and they have a .647 win percentage when they travel as well. DeJounte Murray scoring over 15.5 points per contest, 7 rebounds, 5 assists for the starting point guard. Meanwhile, Keldon Johnson's averaging nearly 14 a game himself, along with 6 rebounds and a couple assists. The Spurs are currently 5 games above 500, and they rank in the top 10 in road points allowed. They're giving up just 109 points per contest when they travel. Now, total-wise, San Antonio went 5-1 to the under in their last 6 ball games, 70% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Cleveland's gone 60% to the under in their last 10 outings themselves, 60% to the under at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I'm going to lean toward the San Antonio Spurs -4.5 and the under 211. Next matchup, it is going to be Kings Celtics, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time. The Boston Celtics are the 7-point favorite at home. Totals 233. Despite a 2-game skid, the Celtics still have won 5 out of their last 8 ball games. Boston plays their best basketball at the Garden this season, where they are 12-6 straight up through 18 contests, and they successfully covered the point spread in 61% of those home games. Jason Tatum scoring over 25 points per contest, 6 rebounds, 4 assists for the starting forward. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown scoring 24.5 points per contest himself, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for the starting guard. Boston currently leads the NBA in defensive rebounding at home. They're also in the top 10 in home points allowed. They're taking on a Sacramento squad who's won just 7 of 19 on the road this season, and they actually rank dead last in defending the 3-ball. The Kings are allowing 120 points a night, and they're letting their opponents make nearly 40% of their 3-pointers. Now, total-wise, Sacramento's last 4 straight, believe it or not, all stayed under the number. They're also 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Boston. Meanwhile, the Celtics saw 2 out of their last 4 stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Boston Celtics -7 and the under 233. Next ball game, it is going to be Nets Magic, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Brooklyn Nets are the 10.5-point favorite on the road, numbers 224 flat. Now, Brooklyn's on a 6-game winning streak. They also went 14-1 straight up in their last 15. The Nets actually went 12-3 against the spread in their last 15 as well. And they currently lead the NBA in offensive field goal percentage and scoring on average per game. And despite the absence of Durant and Kyrie here tonight, I really don't think it matters. James Harden's still scoring over 25.5 points per contest, along with 9 rebounds and 11.5 assists. Now, Joe Harris also is scoring 15 a game himself, along with 3.5 boards. The Nets are in the top 3 in shooting the 3-ball, and they also drill 42% of their 3-pointers when they travel. They're taking on an Orlando team who lost their last 9 straight, and they score just 104 points a game. Now, the Magic's dead last in offensive field goal percentage, bottom 3 in home scoring, simply not built for a track meet, especially with a team like Brooklyn, even though Brooklyn's depleted. Now, in addition to being 14 games below 500 for the season, the Magic's been victorious in just 8 out of 21 home games. When it comes to the total in this one, Orlando surprisingly went 4-3 to the over in their last 7. Brooklyn's 4-2 to the over in their last 6 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Brooklyn Nets minus 10.5 in the over 224. Next ball game, it is going to be Warriors versus the Grizzlies, 8 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Memphis. The Grizzlies are the 8-point favorite. Total's 220.5. Now, this is a absurdly large number for a Memphis team who's got a losing record at home. Having said that, though, the Warriors have a slew of guys on the injury report here tonight. And believe it or not, the Grizzlies are in the top 10 defensively in points allowed. So they're not completely hapless. They're a good kind of mediocre squad. And in addition to that, the Grizzlies have also been very good against the number recently, going 7-3 against the spread in their last 10. And as bad as they've been straight up at the FedEx Forum here, they're still 12-9 against the number in their 21 home games. Now, John Morant scoring 19 points a game along with 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Meanwhile, Jonas Valanciunas is scoring nearly 16 a night himself, along with 11 boards as well. The Grizzlies rank in the top 10 in offensive rebounding. Now, they're taking on a Golden State squad who's probably going to have to go to work without Steph Curry and Kelly Oubre. Both are listed as doubtful for tonight's action. Now, Eric Pascal and James Wiseman, they're both out on COVID protocol as well. The Warriors are dead last in defensive rebounding, bottom 10 in points allowed on the road. Now, they've been victorious in just 8 of 21 road games, and they covered the number in just 38% of those contests. Now, total-wise, Golden State saw their last 2 straight stay under the line, 70% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Memphis Grizzlies minus 8 and the under 220.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Pistons versus the Rockets in the Toilet Bowl, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Houston Rockets are the 1.5-point favorite at home. I think this is one of not many games they're favored in. But anyway, Rockets are minus 1.5, numbers 214. And if you like the Pistons and an upset victory on the road here, they're plus $1 for some money line cash. Now, the Pistons have gone 3-1 against the number in their last 4 contests, 60% against the spread in their last 10. Now, Detroit's officially 12-9 ATS in their road games, and they actually rank in the top 5 in the NBA defensively in fourth quarter points allowed. Jeremy Grant is scoring 23 points a game along with 5 rebounds and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Josh Jackson's dropping nearly 14 a game himself, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for the 6'8 shooting guard. Now, they're taking on a Houston squad who lost their last 18 ball games. Oh man, 18-game losing streak, and they successfully covered the point spread just twice during that stretch. Now, the Rockets are last in home scoring, last in home offensive field goal percentage. They've also failed to cover the point spread in 15 out of their last 18 at the Toyota Center. Gordon's still out. Wall and McLemore are questionable. And when it comes to the number in this one, 2 out of Houston's last 3 did get over the number. Meanwhile, Detroit saw 3 out of their last 6 get over the total as well. The Pistons are also 12-10 to the over in their road contests. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Detroit Pistons plus 1.5 and the over 214. That's going to be a 1,000-unit play right there. No, I'm just kidding. I actually have no personal action on that game. But anyway, next matchup. It is going to be Pacers versus the Heat, 8 o'clock East. The Miami Heat's -4, totals 215.5. Now, Miami has quietly won 11 out of their last 13 ball games, 69% against the number in those contests. Now, the Heat's also got a .600 win percentage at the American Airlines Arena, and they currently lead the association in defensive field goal percentage. Jimmy Butler scoring 21 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 7 assists for Butler. Meanwhile, Bam Adebayo scoring 18 points a game himself, 9.5 boards and 5 assists for the starting center. Miami allows just 106 points per contest. They're also holding their opponents to just 43% shooting from the field at home. They're taking on a Pacer team who lost 8 out of their last 10 themselves, just 1-9 against the number in those 10 ball games. Indy's currently 5 games below 500, and they're in the bottom 3 in the NBA in offensive rebounding. Jeremy Lamb's still questionable with a knee, and when it comes to the scoring in this one, the Pacers' last 3 straight outings got over the total, 7-2 to the over in their last 9. I'm going to lean toward the Miami Heat -4 and the over 215.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Jazz Raptors, 8 p.m. Eastern start. The Utah Jazz are -5 on the road, numbers 230 and a hook. Utah's in the top 3 in the NBA in scoring, top 3 in shooting the 3-ball. Donovan Mitchell scoring 25 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, Jordan Clarkson is scoring over 17 a night off the bench himself, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for the role-playing point guard. Utah's 18 games above 500, and they score 117 points a game. They're also making nearly 41% of their three-pointers when they travel. Now they're taking on a Toronto team who's on a 6-game losing streak, just 1-8 straight up in their last 9. The Raptors are dead last in offensive rebounding, and they successfully covered the point spread in just 7 of 17 home games. Now total-wise, 2 out of Toronto's last 3 stayed under the number. 2 out of Utah's last 3 stayed under the number themselves, throwing out the Washington game. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz -5 and the under 230.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Bulls Nuggets, 9 p.m. East. The Denver Nuggets are the 7-point favorite at home, totals 224.5. Now the Nuggets are playing some pretty good basketball recently. Having said that, though, they do still struggle to cover the point spread on their home court. Now, out of their 19 games at the Ball Arena this year, Denver successfully covered the point spread in just 8 of those contests. The Nuggets are also in the bottom 10 defensively in third-quarter points allowed at home. They're taking on a Chicago team who won 2 out of their last 3 ball games themselves. Believe it or not, Chicago has a winning record on the road. They're 9-7 straight up in their road games this season. Matter of fact, this Bulls team is amongst the best road covering teams in the NBA right now. They're 12-4 against the spread in their contests away from home. The Chicago Bulls rank in the top 3 in road scoring, top 3 in road offensive field goal percentage. Zach LaVine's dropping over 28 points a game, along with 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Meanwhile, Lauri Markkanen is scoring nearly 19 a night himself, along with 6 rebounds. The Bulls are actually scoring 119 points a game when they travel, and they're also making nearly 50% of their field goals in that very same category. Now, total-wise, Chicago's 9-7 to the over on the road, 80% to the over in their last 10 head-to-head meetings against Denver. Meanwhile, the Nuggets are 60% to the over on their home court this year, 25-15 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Chicago Bulls +7 and the over 224.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Mavericks Blazers, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Dallas Mavericks are -3.5, totals 227 juice to the over. Now the Mavs are going to have to go to work without Dorian Finney-Smith and Willie Cauley-Stein here this evening. The Dallas Mavericks are also covering the number in just 46% of their contests overall for the entire season, so I wouldn't particularly say they've been lighting the world on fire ATS. Dallas is in the bottom 10 in offensive rebounding, bottom 10 in defensive rebounding on the road. Now they're taking on a Portland squad who's played some pretty good basketball at the Moda Center this year, 13-7 straight up on their home court. Top 10 in the league in scoring on average per contest. Damian Lillard's leading the charge with over 30.5 points per contest, along with 4 rebounds and 7 assists. Meanwhile, Gary Trent Jr. scoring over 15 a night himself, along with a couple of boards as well. Total-wise, Portland saw 4 out of their last 6 get over the number. They're also 11 and 9 to the over at the Moda Center. Meanwhile, Dallas saw 8 out of their last 10 meetings with Portland get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Portland Trailblazers plus 3.5 and the over 227. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final contest for the show here. I'm talking about the Timberwolves versus the Suns. 10 p.m. Eastern tip-off in the desert. The Phoenix Suns are minus 11, totals 232 flat. And as much of a shocker as last night was losing to the T-Wolves, I really can't see that happening 2 nights in a row. The Suns are still 7-3 straight up in their last 10 ball games, 70% against the number in those contests. They're also in the top 5 defensively in points allowed, top 5 in defending the 3 ball. Devin Booker's averaging 25 points a game, along with 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Meanwhile, Chris Paul is scoring nearly 16 a night himself, 4 rebounds, 8 assists for the multi-time All-Star. The Phoenix Suns allowed just 108 points per contest on average. They're also in the top 3 in offensive field goal percentage as well. They're taking on a Minnesota club who's still 21 games below 500 after last night's victory. They've also lost 17 of 22 road games this year, and they rank dead last in points allowed on the road. They're actually giving up 120 points a night when they travel. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, Minnesota's 80% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 13 and 9 to the over on the road. Meanwhile, Phoenix saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the line themselves, 12 and 9 to the over on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the Phoenix Suns minus 11 and the over 232. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like San Antonio minus 4.5, under 211. Boston minus 7, under 233. Brooklyn Nets minus 10.5, over 224. Memphis Grizzlies minus 8, under 220.5. Detroit Pistons plus 1.5, over 214. Miami Heat minus 4, over 215.5. Utah Jazz minus 5, under 230 and a hook. Chicago Bulls plus 7, over 224.5. Portland Trailblazers plus 3.5, over 227. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the show, one final reminder that we are 10-2 in our last 12 extra daily pick tier package plays on my Patreon website. We're also hitting at 88% in our last 24 premium sports picks in that very same tier membership. Give me the Phoenix Suns minus 11 and the over 232. One final reminder here, guys. All the content on my YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes only. I don't make any guarantees of any kind. With that, guys, that is going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.